There was one where they did like the Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, Upper Deck did. This is way back in the trading card days. And they put a golden ticket in golf cards. And there was 4 of them that they gave out throughout the country. And the 4 guys that got that got to come to Isleworth and play a scramble against Tiger with using Tiger's drive. And these 4 guys, God bless them. One of them was pretty good. If I can remember, he was like a 3 to 5 handicap. The other guys were bogey golfers, and they had to tee off against Tiger. They didn't stand a chance from the range, and he did everything he could to intimidate the heck out of these guys. It was just absolute comedy the whole time. He just pulls up in his cart, like cranking, music and everything back in the day when people didn't have that in carts. And, it's just like, and it's his whole aura. And I was with these poor guys, and I just said to them, hey, you really can't pay attention to what he's going to do. If you have any chance to think that this is going to be like, just go have fun. Just don't worry about what he's thinking. There's not one shot you could ever hit today, even a hole in one, that's going to impress him.
At Mayo Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, the final word on the Genesis Invitational with Keith Stewart from Read the Line. You told me before the show that someone is playing next week that I don't know. Who is playing next week that I don't know?
Pat, you're usually on top of these things on X, but it seems as if JT's playing next week in the Thunderdome. I know you're going to make fun of me for it, but that's a sign that JT is coming back sooner rather than later to active competition, maybe the players. But as far as we know, looks like JT is going to play at TGL next week.
So Justin Thomas is playing TGL, but he's not going to play in the Cognizant Classic where he's won before?
Pat, I'm just reading the internet. Don't shoot the messenger on me on this one, okay?
So he might commit to next week's field then.
Oh, yes, he has until Friday. I mean, this is just Wednesday morning. He has until Friday in order to commit. But as of right now, it looks like TGL is doing a little social farming, and he and Luke Bryan are joking about whether or not he's going to play next week, and it seems as if he's going to play.
Oh, well, that's good news that this is always an injury. Like when you're dealing with back stuff, you never know when guys are going to come back. What do you make of someone coming back from a back injury in this extended layoff? Is it a pure wait and see situation to see where he's at? Because even when Berger was out for 18 months, it still took him 8 to 10 months to turn back into semi-Daniel Berger. It doesn't even seem like he's all the way back yet.
I mean, that's the great unknown in all of this, Pat. I mean, look what's happened to Will Zalatoris since he started having back surgery. And of course, you talk about Daniel Berger. Both of those guys had to transform their golf swings. So for me, the big question mark will be, how much does JT have to change what he does when he comes through the golf ball? I mean, we all know about his vertical move, his thrust off the ground. He hits the ball from his toes. There's a lot of face rotation there in his golf swing. So it'll be interesting to see how he can move and what he's been working on through his rehab over the last month or so.
Want to let everyone know to sub to Mayo Media Network. I'll be live Wednesday evening, 8 p.m. Eastern time. If you have any questions, that's the time to tune in. You can ask them live to me, but you got to be subbed to Mayo Media Network. Throw a sub to the Apple and Spotify as well. If you got extra time on your hands and you're watching this on your phone anyway, open up that app, hit subscribe. Be very generous of you. I do want you to hit the comment section. Let me know who you think is going to win. Can't be Scottie Scheffler. Anyone besides Scottie Scheffler. Do you know why, Keith? Because I didn't bet on Scottie Scheffler this week.
I'm not going to bet on Scottie Scheffler to win either. Shockingly.
So I have 6 outright bets in. And if anyone watched yesterday's show with Alex Blickel, he broke down the each-way markets for top 5, top 8, and this top 3 market that we've been seeing on Bet365, which actually boosts up your outright and the each way that goes along with it. Now, you only get 3 places instead of 5 or instead of 8, but he did discover by running the numbers that it's a far more profitable market to be betting in. So here are the 6. You ready for this?
With bated breath, I'm ready.
I bet on Rory, 16.5 to 1. I got a 30% boost, so boosted up his number from 12 to 16.5. That is just purely outright. All other of the 5 bets are the outright plus the top 3 each way to go along with them. I took Harris English at 55 to 1, Fitz at 60 to 1, Straka at 75, and then Lowry at 110, and My Canadian brethren, a guy I haven't bet on in years. Corey Connors, Keith, 200-1 to win Riviera or come inside the top three at, 40-1. Seemed pretty good to me. As Blickel did point out to me, while his approach numbers are terrible this year, it's 6 rounds. Guys can struggle for 6 rounds and turn it back again.
Oh, there's no doubt. I mean, Corey Connors is going to figure out his ball striking sooner rather than later in the 2026 season. So at a huge number like that, with 3 places, get him close to the top. I don't know if you'll have a sweat this week, but you'll probably have one soon on Corey Connors. He'll come back.
Probably Bay Hill. He always plays well at Bay Hill, so maybe 2 weeks' time, maybe revisit, especially if he has another bad week at Riviera this week. Where are you leaning with you? I know that your picks will come out in the Read the Line newsletter a little bit later on after the show is published on Wednesday. But where are the early leans for you right now?
You mentioned 2 of them. I love Rory at the top. It seems like he's in this, I guess, stage in his career where he's checking off boxes, and this is one that has yet to happen. The guy was impressive last week in his ball striking. To shoot 17 under with 2 sevens on your card is pretty impressive. I think he had like 25 subpar scores, across 4 rounds there at Pebble and Spyglass Hill. And then the other one I'm very interested in, and this guy has played, his first start of the year was Amex, and he wasn't that great, but he's been pretty good the last couple of weeks, and that's Sepp Straka. And the one thing I like about Sepp here at Riviera is that Riviera is a complete test, and I know we'll get into this at length, but you have to be able to gain in all 4 major strokes gain categories. And Sepp is doing that. He did it very, very nicely at Pebble Beach. And that's, to me, the kind of form that I'm looking for coming in. He's going to hit fairways. He's going to hit greens, which is difficult to do there. He's been getting up and down, and Sepp's been average with the putter, which I think with the way he ball strikes it puts him in a position. And quite honestly, when you start to look at the guys that are over like 40-1 in this field, who can actually win or who's proven that they can win a signature event? And Sepp's done it, and he's done it on a classically designed golf course. So that gives me a lot of interest. You had Sepp, you've been talking Sepp for the last couple of weeks. I've been paying attention, and now I'm ready to dip my toe in that, in the septic tank.
There are only a few people so far this season that when you take a look at those 4 big metrics, driving, approach, around the green, and putting, right out in the top half of this field in all 4. Scheffler, shockingly enough, one of those guys. Another one would be Ryo Hisasune is really good in all of these. He's cuss one and done this week too. Jake Knapp, your guy, is another one. Tommy Fleetwood, albeit only in 1 start. Mav McNeely is another one. Minwoo Lee is another. And Jason Day is the only other one who rates out positively in all 4 of those categories.
Day's interesting. I liked him last week. I bet him last week at Pebble Beach, and the iron game didn't show up. And the iron game had been the best part of his routine the last couple of weeks, the starts before that. So it was interesting to me that of all the things that Day didn't have show up at Pebble, it was his iron game. Couple loose iron shots here and there. It wasn't like a comprehensive fail on his part, but a good bounce back here. The Aussies have always been very good on that Kikulia grass at Riviera.
So what do you make of the conditions coming into the week? Because obviously the course is seemingly underwater as we're speaking right now. It's going to be fine. It's going to be playable because the rain is going to stop. But in these softer conditions at Riviera, what do you change who you like here? Is it easier to bomb and gouge now? Is the rough going to be thicker? Because even in the Kikuya grass, and people, I mentioned this like 8 times on the show, so I don't want to rehash it too much. But when you're watching the broadcast, commentators just love saying the word Kikuya. So you can play a drinking game and you're going to end up underneath the table or maybe at the hospital within 20 minutes because they're going to say it so many times. But the rough here has always been patchy, that when you walk up to the ball, it could be nestled down in a very difficult shot, or you get stuck with one of these flyer lies. There is a bit of luck to the draw when you hit it into the rough. Because of the dampness, does that mean the rough is going to be thicker? Is it going to be easier? How do you think that plays out?
Well, generally this time of year, if it is dry, then the Kikulia has what you just mentioned there, some barren spots. You could get lucky. You could get where there's like virtually no rough grass, or you could get areas that has a little bit more coverage. Kikulia is like a weed. It's very much like a Bermuda grass. It grows sideways. So you get these the place that the guys really don't like it is the place where they don't have a lot of speed. So where is that? That's around the green. That's when they're pitching. That's when they're chipping. That's when it becomes really, really unpredictable. For the most part, this time of year, it sits on top of that too. It's why they only grow it to like 2 inches. And I doubt that it even gets to that most years at Riviera. The ball kind of sits on top of it. We don't see a ton of a penalty for this type of grass. Just because it's wet doesn't mean that it's still not in kind of that winter dormant stage. I don't think it's going to make I haven't seen it make a big difference in the years that it was wet. And plus, don't forget, it's super cold out there right now. So the chances are that even if it was like fed with water, it's really not growing because it's freezing out there for the normal temperatures that grass is used to. But where that grass becomes really unpredictable is around the green. And that's why we see so many players, kind of rise to the top of the leaderboard based upon their around the green acumen, their short game, their pitching, because you get a lot of rough lies there with the Kikulia, and then you get a lot of like tight lies. There's all sorts of different short game situations, and we know how difficult, probably the most difficult set of bunkers on tour. There's 32 greenside bunkers. So in and around the green, I feel like the Kikulia will make a bigger difference. The fact that it's wet and cold, to me, missing the fairways, not that big a deal.
Okay, so I wanted to bring this up with around the green because Blickle and I talked about this, that, well, around the green is always a factor in who wins. Riviera tends to be one of the least predictive around the green places where bad around the green players all of a sudden end up good. Ditto with the putting. What is it about these green complexes that are so unique versus a lot of other courses?
Really, it comes down to that Kikulia grass. The guys that are good off of shots, off tight lies, are just good off tight lie shots, right? So they're always going to be rising to the top in this scenario. But what happens is that because of the time of year, because of the usual temperature, because there's usually a lack of rain, and then the rain now, along with the cold temperatures, are going to give you even more rub of the green, around those complexes. You're going to see a lot of situations where guys are going to get very favorable lies. And let's just use Hideki as an example. The guy's probably the best short game player in the field right now. And if he gets a bad lie in the Kikulia, and let's say he's playing in a group with Scottie, and Scottie's 5 feet away from him, and Scottie gets a good lie, well, it just happens in that style of grass. It's the same thing with Bermuda grass. That's why we don't like to see major championships played out at places where the rough grass can have so much, variability.
So looking at the field, using the rabbit hole, betspertsgolf.com/Mayo, if you want to get access to all the customizable tools and data to help you do your research. Max McGreevy is the best player in the field at Riviera over the past 7 years per round around the green. That's only in 2 rounds, so that's not a huge sample here. Nothing's going to be a huge sample, so they only play 4 rounds a year at this course, excluding last year when this tournament was moved to Torrey Pines after the fires. Day is second, Hideki's third, Lowry, Glover, Tom Kim, Scheffler, Sahith, Aaron Rai, Jordan Spieth, Patrick Cantlay, Robert McIntyre. Any of those names surprise you?
Surprise me. Good question.
Or is there anyone that you didn't hear on that list that you're surprised not to hear on that list?
You didn't say Cam Young.
And
everyone just I can't get enough Cam Young on the internet right now. I needed to say it so I could get more of it. I didn't hear his name.
Of note, Cam, if we go the other way, Cam Young, 5th worst in the field at Riviera around the greens.
Oh, you're talking about just around the green.
Yeah,
Sorry.
just around the green.
Apologies. I thought you were just talking straight course history.
No.
My bad. Okay. No, that makes sense. That makes sense. All of those guys, it's interesting because, you throw out a name like Shane Lowry, who right now just hasn't had great short game skill in the event that he had last week. But overall, Shane's notoriously a very good short game player. So, most of those names make sense. The ones that I remember. Sure.
See, I bet Lowry mainly because of the odds. I felt like he was the best player who was down the board. And when I could boost him up to triple digit odds, once I take that top 3 each way, he made a lot more sense to me. And do I really think that he's going to win? No. Does he have a better than 1% chance of winning? I'd like to believe that he does. But I know that you said that hitting fairways isn't imperative. If it is a little bit more wet than it normally would be, is there a big advantage from playing in the fairway and being able to control your spin?
Nah, I just think there's a bigger advantage for being long, for having more carry distance. The way that the golf course is going to play. Everyone likes to say that that the golf course plays short, but at 7,300 yards and being soft, very very soft conditions, I feel like a guy like Shane, who doesn't hit it as far as some of the bombers, is going to have to play his very very best golf in order to keep up with the guys that are hitting it 15 yards further than him on average.
So that leans you to. I mean, you mentioned that Straka would be one of your bets, as he is for me. He's another one who falls into that camp, though. He's not especially long off the tee. He's more accurate. He gains more of his strokes through accuracy rather than distance.
100%. And you could call me out on that, but
Mhm.
what he's doing from, just a well-rounded play perspective further down the board, I'm with you. And I know he's only at 50, in that 50 range, 50 to 1, but he's the type of guy in that range that I feel like that could actually pull this off. I mean, the guys that we love to kind of sprinkle on, they're all down there in the 30s and low 40s, and it's like, man, like there's only 71 players in the field. Like, could you give us a couple guys with a number? So we're not getting that. So as I look further down the board, accuracy is going to help. Don't get me wrong. It's always going to help, especially at a golf course like this. If you could hit more fairways, you are going to find more greens in regulation, which the field struggles to do to begin with. I mean, let's talk about this for a second. For a place that has greens that are basically bigger than Augusta National, 7,500 square feet on average, you're talking about that it's, players hit 8% less than the tour average on a weekly basis of the greens in regulation. And then we're also saying that around the green complexes is very, very difficult. So there's a premium this week on approach. Certainly everyone's going to talk about the 150 to 200 and 48% of your, approach shots happen in that range. But a person that can hit as many greens in regulation as possible is going to have a tremendous advantage this week, especially with the softer conditions, because they're going to be able to hit their spots on the greens and the ball's not going to take that first huge bounce and that, off that firm POA and then, head to the low points of the greens or bounce over the green or whatever. If you can hit greens this week, you're going to hold them and you're going to have a distinct advantage over the field. And that's why I feel good about Sepp in that category.
Any extra pressure with some of these guys being an elevator signature event, but it actually has a cut line? Why can't all of them have cut lines? This is great.
Pat, why can't all of them have more players? That being said, the folks that I've talked to at the tour, I think they're going to set that number between 110 and 120 next year. And there
Okay.
are going to be cuts for all of them. That's not fake news. It's definitely going to be way more than it is now. That being said, a cut is missed. And even this cut, it does play a role to a certain degree. I mean, if you want to play DraftKings and you want to take Scottie, you're going to have to take some guys down in the 6K range. And not all those guys are guaranteed to make the cut. That's for sure. If they were guaranteed to make the cut, then they wouldn't be in the 6K range. So there are some implications from an outright perspective. I don't think there's anyone that we're betting and that we feel very good about from a ball striking perspective that are worried about being, in the top 50 in ties.
So and 10 strokes of the lead, I believe, is still the rule for this one for
Yes,
reasons unknown.
correct.
That I don't know. But two names that came to my mind. Well, one we already mentioned that I just had not considered until we started having this conversation. One would be Jason Day. The last two times that he's been here, he's come inside the top 10. I don't see a whole lot of buzz about Jason Day at the moment, and he had a bad approach week a week ago. Coming into the week, as you mentioned, he was kind of on fire. When I just pulled up who's been great around the greens here, his name pops to the top of that list as well. That maybe he's someone we should be, maybe not as an outright perspective, but first round leader, top 10, something around there, DraftKings play.
Oh, 100%. Again, the Australians, they grow up on Kikulia grass down there. So, hey, everybody drink Kikulia. Oh, you got to do it twice. But the point being is that they're used to that. These guys don't see very many venues anymore. It used to be at Torrey Pines, but that was a long time ago. They overseed there now in the wintertime. So, uh, that's why over the years we've seen so many of the Australians play really, really well there, and they're used to that style of grass. J Day is going to have an advantage on approach and around the greens when he's hitting those shots. There's no doubt about it. Look at Adam Scott and his record.
His record's excellent too. Is Kikuya Australia or South Africa? I thought Kikuya was in South Africa.
It is, but it's also you find it a lot in Australia too.
Okay, so yeah, unfortunately, Potgieter doesn't have very much form at the moment, so probably won't be going in on him, despite the distance and the long iron play. But the other things that you mentioned, difficult sand traps, long iron play, don't need a ton of accuracy if you can get it out there. This guy's not the longest hitter. Obviously, he's a friend of the show and made a 10 this week at Pebble Beach. But Michael Kim's really good from like 150 to 200 and probably the best sand player on tour right now and excellent around the greens. Well, that might not be great from an outright perspective. It does seem like he's someone who could tread a lot of water while other guys are losing strokes on some of the harder holes.
Absolutely, and that's what makes him a great, live head-to-head play. As you kind of watch what he's doing as the tournament continues to kind of like air out and take place round after round. Certainly a good placement call at the bottom of the board, maybe a top 30, top 20, and you can get a decent number on him because, the the books aren't giving him his due from an outright perspective. So you're gonna find some opportunity there for some value because those things he definitely does check the box on. I mean, he's a great mid-iron player and he is a great sand player. There's no doubt about it.
Shout out to our friends at coolbet.com. If you're in Canada, outside of Ontario, or in any of the Scandinavian countries and you're watching, Coolbet is available to you. If you click on the PME Exclusives tab this week, you can get Matt Fitzpatrick boosted up to 40 to 1. Now, these never win, so you should probably not bet it, but it's a pretty good number. And Fitz is, why can't he chip or putt? This is something he's supposed to be good at, but now all of a sudden he's the most elite ball striker in the world. He's never gained more strokes on approach in any tournament than he just did at Pebble Beach.
Pat, I look at it this way. Everything with Matt Fitzpatrick up until this point has been gravy. Because if you could remember year after year, I mean, I know he had the one top 5 here, but he had never really had a great record here at Riviera. But it was always the start of his season on the PGA Tour. Well, we've seen Fitz now for a couple of weeks. I think he's warmed up. He's obviously warmed up with his iron game. The guy is really good from inside 10 feet as far as closing out putts. I think the short game will come around. He's not that bad of a short game player. I do like Fitz this week a lot. I do. I think Fitz is a strong play, and I think he is also has the type of game right now and the driver going where if he gets up there against Mr. Scheffler, he has enough skill to keep it close for long enough, and then you never know what happens. You make a 20, 30 footer down the stretch, hold on for dear life. Stranger things have happened around here.
The last time I think I bet on Scheffler, he got outrun by Matt Fitzpatrick at the U.S. Open. So that was years ago when I was still betting on Scheffler, and they were giving him 17 to 1 odds. And of course, when I bet on him, the dude can't win. So now that I'm betting on Rory this week, expect Scheffler to win. A well-built wardrobe isn't about having more clothes. It's about having the right pieces that actually work together and hold up over time. And that's why Quince does it the best. So expect to see some new looks on the show in the not-too-distant future. Quince has everyday essentials I love, with quality that lasts, organic cotton sweaters, a lightweight or spring jackets, and higher-end long-sleeve tees that are monochromatic, the Pat Mayo staple. It's all designed to be easy to wear and easy to rely on. They work directly with top factories and cut out the middleman, so you're not paying for brand markup, just quality clothing that's built to handle daily wear and still look good season after season. The coat I picked up is holding up way better than the other coats that I bought that cost way more. It's stylish, it keeps me warm, it didn't break the bank. Refresh your wardrobe with Quince. Go to quince.com/mayo for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada, too. That's QUINCE.com/mayo. Free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/mayo. Using a VPN is like wearing pants online. All your activity is encrypted and private, hidden from trackers, snoopers, and data brokers. That is why you need Surfshark. Surfshark can help you avoid dynamic pricing by connecting to cheaper locations to save money on everything from flight tickets to hotel bookings. You can change your virtual location to safely stream content from home or unlock regional shows and movies that might be restricted in your current country. With Surfshark, fast connection speeds are guaranteed across their extensive network of servers in 100+ countries. And the Clean Web ad blocker is an efficient feature that blocks annoying ad trackers and malware before they even load, resulting in a faster, cleaner, and safer browsing experience. Secure your privacy with Surfshark. It's completely risk-free with their 30-day money-back guarantee. Right now, go to surfshark.com/Pat Mayo and use my code, Pat Mayo, for 4 extra months at checkout. That link and code are in the show notes and description. I'm currently 4 months off cigs, and cravings aren't just about nicotine. They're about habit. The hand-to-mouth motion, that quick pause during the day and when you're trying to quit, it's breaking that loop that's the hardest part. That's why people replace smoking with eating, something of which I am very guilty of. That's where Fume comes in. Not only is Fume spelled with an umlaut, which is awesome, Fume is a flavored air device designed to help you ditch vaping or smoking by replacing the habit itself. No nicotine, no batteries, no vapor, just a weighted, twisty, fidget-friendly device that gives your hands and mouth something to do when the cravings hit. I've had these moments where I just normally reach for a cig. Instead, I just grab my Fume to fidget with. That interruption is exactly why it works. The flavors are lighter too. Think like flavored water versus soda. Crisp mint, strongest if you're a heavy user. Raspberry, got some more of that tangy sweetness. It's quite nice. Fume has already helped over 700,000 people take steps towards better habits. And now, it's your turn. Use my code MAYO to get a free gift with your Journey Pack. Head to tryfume.com. That's tryfum.com and use code MAYO to claim your free gift today. You mentioned the PGA Tour new proposed schedule. We saw Tiger's press conference on Tuesday. Genesis has re-upped until 2030. It's great to get one of those sponsorships back on board, but a lot of the talk about this tournament was moving it from February. Tiger said that was kind of a priority. Maybe it's a FedEx Cup playoffs event. I don't know. But what can you tell me about this new schedule in terms of... It seems like they want to move everything to bigger cities. Obviously, LA would be near the top of that list, and go back into major American markets with a more condensed schedule. So whatever you know and what you've heard just swirling around the PGA Tour, can you let us know? Because I'm very confused about it.
You don't need to be confused about the fact, Pat, that they are going to go to major markets. They are the John Deere Classic isn't going to make the cut. Silvis, Illinois, I'm sorry to say, isn't going to make the cut as we go forward to 2027. LA is the most unique one of all of them because Riviera has to host the 2028 Olympic Games, which isn't going to be in the summer. So that one would be a tough lift. It could be a one-off year. Certainly, it seems, from everything that I've heard, we're ripping the Band-Aid off and we're going forward in 2027 with the majority of these changes, which is going to be super exciting because you're going to get a schedule that's going to be super condensed at some better venues in bigger markets, which is going to lead to better crowds. I mean, don't get me wrong. Pebble Beach is a fantastic venue. And I know the weather wasn't great, but I've been out there the last 2-3 years, watching that event. And there have been nice days and there's no one there. This is the first signature event of the year. We don't have any fans that are out there. It's no wonder Colin Morikawa won, right? Like at the end of the day, like I think the fans, if the PGA Tour is listening to them, we need to go to where they are. And I think the PGA Tour has every intention to do that. This idea that all of California is going to turn into the playoffs and then end up in August, to me, has a lot of hurdles to overcome. Now, Tiger's in charge of that committee. So the fact that Riviera and Genesis will be involved in the playoffs, that doesn't surprise me at all. But the other ones coming along with it, that could be interesting. Torrey Pines and Pebble Beach to take a week off in their prime season from a revenue perspective, that's a pretty big ticket for the PGA Tour, whereas there are other places that they could go. Boston, Chicago, New York, Pittsburgh. I mean, there's all sorts of great venues up here in the Northeast, the D.C. area, Philadelphia. I mean, just to name a few spots. There is no doubt in my mind that they are going to continue to head towards these bigger cities and get more fans the ability to go see these marquee players, because that's what's going to give the tour more revenue at the end of the day. It's going to get sponsors more involved, and it's going to get the best players in the world in front of the biggest stages, and that's really what the tour's goal is in all of that.
Tell me we're not losing Toronto on this list. That is a major market.
Maybe just TPC Toronto, Pat. But I think the Canadian Open is a great event, and I think that some venues there are better than others.
I agree. I just don't want to lose it from the schedule.
No, the fans show up there. That's one of the most well-attended and, raucous crowds that's up there. I mean, nothing compares with the WM Phoenix Open. But if you're just talking regular events, that one is always very well supported. And as so, it drives a lot of revenue, which is what the tour is. Like, I don't know what people, on Twitter and everything else, what they pay attention to. But private equity now owns the PGA Tour. They do not invest in things to not make money. Shocker, everyone, but this is what's coming down the pipeline. So you could talk about as much tradition and, throw out the flowing robes and, throw down rose petals on the ground and, here comes Scottie Scheffler and everything, right? The tour is trying to build a business here. They are for profit now. That is a major transition. So if you're paying attention, you don't have to read the tea leaves for all of this stuff. This is what is going to happen. And to be quite honest, we're going to get better coverage. It's going to be at better venues. So, I mean, that's a huge win-win from my perspective. I mean, how do you feel about those things?
I hate it. I hate it so much. You have no idea.
Why do you hate it?
Because I like watching golf every week. I like doing content on golf every single week. What happens when there's no Hawaii and there's no Amex? And what am I doing between January and March now? Nothing?
But wait, how do you know those things aren't there?
Well, because
we've talked about this before. Maybe it's off camera, but we've talked about this before.
I assume that the schedule that they want to play out with all of these not necessarily new courses, but new cities and making a larger market rotation to generate more revenue, basically starts at the Players' Championship and runs through the FedEx Cup playoff. So like mid-March to mid-August is going to be prime time for all of this stuff. As long as we still get basically the swing season as the first part of the year, I don't care about that. That'd be great. That's good enough for me. Still play Pebble Beach, still play Torrey Pines. No one of consequence is going to be there. I'm okay with that. I just want to make sure it still happens.
To my knowledge, which is somewhat limited, but not completely limited, that this is really going to help the secondary tour. You can call it the Korn Ferry Tour for right now. But if the Korn Ferry Tour events that aren't part of this super tour, right? And let's say the John Deere and the Amex and all those now become part of the elevated Korn Ferry secondary tour. And those guys down there in like a Corrales, Puerto Rico / Barracuda way are earning FedEx points, as well as the guys that are on the super tour. And there's way more relegation. Everyone always just focuses on the losing events at the top, and these guys we're never going to see them again, and golf is going away, and like cats and dogs living together, complete anarchy. Like, folks, just everybody hit the pause button for a minute, right? The tour makes money off of all of their events. They're not going to just start removing events wall to wall in order just to have 16 events a year and then have a Super Bowl at the end of the year, just because the guy that ran the NFL is now the CEO. That is not his intent. The intent is to have a secondary tour that's even bigger and better, to have a DP World Tour that's even bigger and better, that then feed this super tour. So expand your mind past the elite tour, which might be 18 events. It might be weeks off after a major. That's great. Let it all breathe. Let Pat and I have a conversation about, Scottie winning the Masters for a show. And then we don't have to worry about betting on Scottie or not betting on Scottie that next week at the Heritage. That would be fantastic. But if there's another event that week that's, I don't know, the Charles Schwab Challenge, and we're looking at all the different guys that are in that like fun range to bet, and the numbers are a lot longer, and there's a lot more opportunity for volatility from a DraftKings perspective, from a cup perspective, from a field size perspective. I mean, to me, you're not telling me that's a win-win situation if I rephrase it that way?
If you sell it to me that way, I'm all in on that. As long as we get those other tournaments at the same time where it works as basically, I'm a big fan of the Aeon Swing 5. I think it creates a somewhat compelling extra narrative to pay attention to as a golf fan to see who can play themselves into this mix. I was telling Jeff on Monday, I like the swing season in golf. I think it's cool that 10 guys can go out and try to play themselves into the signature events over the course of this 5-event stretch at tournaments that most people don't care about. I like to bet on it. I like to watch it. That's me. I have it on a second screen when football is going to be on. But I think that there are interesting narratives, and it keeps that meritocracy in place that if you play well, you can get into these tournaments. And when you get into those tournaments, if you play well, you can stay in those tournaments. If you don't play well, you got to go back and qualify again. But as long as this stuff is happening simultaneously, from the impression that I was getting is that you would have it there would be more limited events of that nature, and everything in the middle of the season would just be all signature events with the same 100 guys every week. I don't want to see that.
No, I don't think that that's the intent.
Okay.
And I know there's a lot of discussions about how they would give out FedEx Cup points on 2 different tours.
I mean,
Like
that's not difficult to figure out. Just make it like double for the big tour and smaller for the little, like half for the little tour. It's no different than when they play Corrales and it's not worth the full complement of FedEx Cup. Signature events now are worth 700 points if you win. The regulars 500. The other goober events are like 300. That seems like a pretty good metric.
I mean, I think we're going to get all of that. What I don't think we're going to get, that you and I definitely want, and I'm with you on this on lockstep, is that I want way more relegation. Like coming out of this week, if you miss the cut, then you're not in the next signature event. Because that's never going to be Scottie or Rory or one of those guys when you have a cut that's like the top 50 out of 70 players, right? If that's the way we're going to do it. But like if it's more expansive, I would love more relegation. I love it when it's a meritocracy. I love when these guys, I love competitive chaos. I say that all the time. I love when these guys are pushed to the brink. I mean, to me, that's nothing better.
Is Tiger going to play in the Masters? Because he said not no.
Well, I guess a double negative is a positive. He's never going to close that door until the Friday before. Or no, technically, because he's a past champion, he has until his tee time that Thursday. We've established that over the years. He's never going to close that door. I mean, he loves Augusta National too much. It'll lead to too much buildup. There'll be too much, talk about him. Of course, that's what he's going to say when he's in front of the camera. We won't hear from Tiger again until, I guess either he's the Ryder Cup captain or he shows up at Augusta, because that's probably one of the next 2 things, the next 2 times we'll hear from him.
So you don't think that he's going to play?
Oh, I think he'll make every effort to play.
If he doesn't feel like he can win, is there any chance he plays?
I think as long as he feels like he can make the cut and not break that streak, he's definitely playing.
Okay.
Definitely playing.
That'd be very big news for, I'm sure, it's ESPN that has the early round coverage of the Masters now, isn't it?
Amazon as well.
Amazon? Yeah, they'll love that.
Oh, my, I mean, live from starts like now at the Golf Channel, just discussing that. I mean, that was Todd Lewis's voice. He's like, "Hey, any chance you're playing the Masters?" And he's like, "Yeah, maybe." That's all he needs to say. I mean, that threw the entire internet into a tizzy. It's fantastic. And to be quite honest, Pat, I know he's probably just playing the game for the time being and just being speculative, but that's a good thing for golf. That gets people super excited. Football is gone. The Olympics will be gone in a minute. The end of the season for the NBA and the NHL is not that big of a draw compared to what we can get out of Bay Hill and the players. And then, of course, the lead up to Augusta. I mean, give me all of that. And I'm all in for it, for sure. So for him, thanks for doing that, Tiger.
Well, Tiger Tiger far better than anyone else that I talk to on a regular basis. You give us some fun Tiger on the range stories as well. But when you used to see him hit, I know they had the violent swing. Did you guys just like look around and be like, that's not going to last? Like, he's going to get hurt.
We were the same age, so we wouldn't have thought that way. I'm sure there were people like Mark O'Meara that were around him that were more like his uncles or his dad's age that were like, yeah, you got to tone it down a little bit. But all of us were the same age. So it was like, buddy, let's do it. And he used to be able to do things with a golf ball, Pat, that I still can't explain with physics. I mean, he did it all the time. And it was a thing to marvel at, play golf with him. I mean, it's tough to put into words in his prime, especially during the summer of 2000. Every time a funny story was that at Isleworth, if any Isleworth resident member won something, we used to put a banner up at the front. Well, these were the days where like Shaq lived there. So like the Lakers were winning championships, but like we would be hanging out on like, say, a Sunday night, watching whatever, hanging out at the old ale house on Kirkman Road or something like that. People in Orlando would know what I mean by that. And there it is, Tiger wins. And then, my old boss, the director of golf at Isleworth, he'd have to go over. And there were, back then, this is like 2000. So he had a cell phone, but not everybody had cell phones. And he had to like go call the sign guy. And he's like, got to get another sign. Like he would always like get up from the table. He's like, got to get another sign. It was classic. And then, we would be the ones like writing out what the sign said in order to congratulate him, welcoming him back to the neighborhood because he had won like, I don't know, Firestone for like the 19th time in a row, or, Muirfieldville or the Memorial. It was classic. I mean, in those days, oh man, Tiger's the best. And right now, he went through that kind of period in his career where obviously there were some dark times, but now, you look at where how he has embraced his role as this is the tour I built and I want to preserve it now. So how invested he is and the sheepish grin that he had after he said no today to Todd Lewis, like he knows what he's doing there and he knows that it's good for golf. And hey, thanks Tiger for doing that. I really I have a ton of gratitude for him to doing that because more people would watch you and I talking about how we could possibly slide by Scottie this week at Riviera.
Well, it's his top 3 each way market. I'm now taking that as my new angle of how to get around Scottie. Is it weird?
I'm telling you. Just real quick, the top 5 market after round 1 on Scottie and top 10 markets have been very profitable the last few weeks.
I hit him.
They're far better than 3-1 at the start of the week.
I hit him top 10 after I was midway through round 2 when he was still struggling, but it was very clear that he was about to turn it on, and he was plus 275 for a top 10. I was like, sure, let's do that. No problem.
Oh. I hit the top 10 market twice and the top 5 once. I had like a 8-1 week on Scottie at the end of the week. And that's like almost triple what I could have had if I had like bet him on a Thursday at 3-1. I mean, why would we ever do that?
Is Scottie doing this out of like pure boredom at this point? Is he giving the field a handicap to face him with in round 1 now?
I don't think so. The competitive juice is there. I've seen since he was very young when he won 90 junior tournaments, and I used to coach kids that would go against him. I mean, he was the boy next door that would mow your lawn, and then he'd take that money and he'd go pay the entry fee, and then he would beat everybody. I mean, Scott Sr., his dad, couldn't have been a nicer like junior golf dad walking around like, hey, that's my son. Oh, yeah, the one with the trophy again. 90, like near 90 wins or just over 90 wins as a junior golfer. That's a lot because you don't get to do that for 20 years.
Scottie's dad is still exactly the same. He still walks around the event and talks to everybody. He's the nicest guy in the world.
I talk to him all the time because he's from New Jersey and I'm from New Jersey. He loves to chat with me and he loves to give me a hard time because he knows how tough the market is because of what his son has set the number at. Like we had a huge discussion about this 2 years ago at Bay Hill when the number started to fall and Tiger and Scottie was going on this run and he started to he's like, how is this kind of affecting your markets and everything? And we walked for like, I don't know how many holes I've walked with him over the last 4 years. More than any other dad on tour. I could tell you that.
More than Sahith's dad? He's always around.
Nah, yeah. That's like no.
The Thigala clan, like watching him, runs deep. There's like 10 of them out there at all times.
That's the whole thing. It's like an entourage, whereas like Mrs. Scheffler and Mr. Scheffler are always there. And Mrs. usually she just kind of like walks along and doesn't really talk to anyone. And Scott just kind of talks to people. And some people don't even know when he's like walking through the crowd, they don't even know who he is. He just has he has an Augusta National hat on. It's like, yeah, my son won that. It's great. It's so good.
When you used to play, and you and like whoever it was at the club used to play just general practice rounds with Tiger, how does betting work with Tiger? Like, what does he have to give you guys? And you guys are good, and he's obviously Tiger. Like, what does he have to give up? Or is it just like, you know what, Tiger, we're not playing for money. It can't work like that. We don't want to lose.
So, I mean, none of us were very wealthy at that time like he was. So he understood that. So the standing bet was as many of us were there that were going to play versus him. So, there was 2 shifts back in the day. There was the opening shift and the closing shift. So whatever, when that opening shift would end, there'd be 5 or 6. We were all there to try to, play our way onto some tour. And, I mean, we had guys that won the nationwide tour and then, would work there the next week, like picking the range. It was that level of play on our staff, which was a lot of fun. And it was a lot of fun for the members. But when we would go out and play with him, if there was 4 guys getting off, it would be 4-on-1. If there were 6 guys getting off, we'd play 6-on-1 and we'd play in a 7-some. And the better part of the bet was that if he was down on the range, once we started, whatever number of holes we played, we were up. So if he came on the 3rd hole and we had already started the third hole. Then we were 3 up through 3, and then he would take us on from 4 till the end. And to his credit, back in those days, he would win more often than not. It's kind of embarrassing. It's kind of humiliating to say that like 4 guys that were like better than, probably +2, +3 handicaps couldn't beat, because what happens is you just birdie so many holes, you would just keep tying and tying and tying, and you get to a par 5, and then he would go, driver, long iron, hit it on, make eagle, and then you're like, okay, now what do we do? He's 1 up, and then you tie the rest of the holes, and then you lose. But it certainly was the best form of training that you could ever have for competitive golf. I mean, like to know, because that guy was like Larry Bird and Michael Jordan, whose birthday was yesterday, by the way. But the guy was the ultimate trash talker because he knew he had you at hello. It's just like there was nothing you could say. There was no shot you could ever hit that would ever like impress him. And every time he hit one, you were just like, man, I don't even make that noise with like a pitching wedge. And it's like, oh man, here's a great story for you. We have time, right?
Oh,
so here's a great story. So as all my years there, I did a ton of photo shoots with Tiger and a lot of the professional golfers there, but I did a ton with him, got to know him very well. So there was one where they did like the Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, Upper Deck did. This is way back in the trading card days. And they put a golden ticket in golf cards, and there was 4 of them that they gave out throughout the country. And the 4 guys that got to come to Isleworth and play a scramble against Tiger with using Tiger's drive. And these 4 guys, God bless them. One of them was pretty good. If I can remember, he was like a 3 to 5 handicap. The other guys were bogey golfers, and they had to tee off against Tiger. They didn't stand a chance from the range, and he did everything he could to intimidate the heck out of these guys. It was just absolute comedy the whole time. He just pulls up in his cart, like cranking, music and everything back in the day when people didn't have that in carts. And, it's just like, and it's his whole aura. And I was with these poor guys, and I just said to them, guys, hey, you really can't pay attention to what he's going to do. If you have any chance to think that this is going to be like, just go have fun. Just don't worry about what he's thinking. There's not one shot you could ever hit today, even a hole in one, that's going to impress him. So just go out and have fun. And you're hitting it from his drive, which in a way was like helpful to them, but it wasn't, because when he would play from his own drive and he would hit much better shots than them, it was even more kind of insulting. But that was one of the greatest like photo shoot contest things that I had to like go around and like, make sure if like members came along and they were playing and they're like, Keith, what's going on? You explained to them what's going on. But like, that was one of the craziest days ever. Those 4 guys, they tried so hard. They got beat like 5 and 4 or something like that. It was, and they played scramble. So it was great.
I love this. I love that you said where Tiger realizes he's at in his career right now, too, because Jeff and I spoke about now that Arnold has passed. It's not that Bay Hill has lost some of its luster, but so much of its luster was walking off the course, shaking hands with Arnold, and then going on your way to sign your scorecard. It exists with Jack right now at Memorial. Yeah. That this tournament in particular, I don't know how much, Jack's 90 at this point, that Tiger's the last guy left of that tier of player. Now, hopefully he has another 40 years of doing this, but it's now just him. Is there anyone else in the realm, obviously not necessarily of Tiger, but as an all-time great who can become a host of one of these tournaments? Because we might just be left with the Genesis and Tiger. You would have thought it would be Phil, but it's not going to be Phil.
No, I was just going to say that. It's not going to be Phil, Pat. So you're going to have this void for a while. And I'm not sure that anyone won to the degree that's going to
Rory, maybe, but that feels like it would be the Scottish.
That's a long way away.
Yeah, that's like 20 years from now when he starts hosting tournaments. But could that even be an American event? Would that be a European event?
Yeah, I think the next most likely guy is 29, and it's Scottie Scheffler. Jordan could have been, but he did all of his winning in the first 3 years. He might have played his best golf when he was 21 years old. Imagine sleeping at night thinking that, right? Now that he's 30 plus. It's kind of crazy. Like it's a great question and a great thing to think about, because there's this kind of void where, Artie and Jack were spaced, about 15 years apart. And then now all of a sudden you've got like this, there was a void, but then Tiger could jump in and he was hosting events while he was still playing. I don't know. And I don't know that Scottie would want that kind of distraction. I mean, that's one of the things, like, I've been thinking a lot about the Scottie Tiger comparison, having lived through the Tiger years, like live in front of me, like literally in front of me. And I've said this to you before, like, Scottie needs to start to string together wins. I get the 18 top tens in a row is impressive. That it is very, very impressive because the fields are way deeper now than they were when Tiger was beating, two or three guys, and then the next guy was like David Toms, And I said that because he won this weekend, so it wasn't as insulting, to say that. But like, the point being is, like, Tiger changed his golf swing. Tiger changed his coaches. Tiger had activities off of the golf course. He had all of these distractions that took place. Scottie doesn't subscribe to any of those magazines. None of those get delivered to his house. He's not changing his coach. He's not changing his swing. He doesn't really do anything, not even from like a media perspective. He's in like 2 commercials on the Golf Channel. The guy should be in 100 commercials. He should be in more commercials than like Peyton Manning and Pat Mahomes combined during NFL season. Like, and he's not. Like, where's this thing going to fall off the rails? I just don't see it. So, like, over the course of time, like, I mean, in the way he's playing right now, I mean, think about how much confidence he has already. Like, as a player, you're always walking that, whether or not you have enough confidence to pull off the shot that's necessary under the pressure that is in the moment. And think about how much he's not been in the mix the last 2 first rounds, and then where he ended up in the tournament. Like, how much that's fueling his fire going into the biggest events of the year. I mean, how many events did he win last year? And he didn't win until what? The CJ Cup? That was his first win of the year. And he still won 6 times with 2 majors. Like, we haven't even started golf season yet. I mean, this kind of kicks it off. But when you get to Florida, it's like, here we go, right? You can start to smell the azaleas down Magnolia Lane. And Scottie should have won. I mean, if he just shoots even par the first couple rounds of those in Phoenix and there at Pebble, the guy wins 3 for 3. So it's interesting. And if he has no distractions, Pat, you tell me, when's it going to go wrong?
I don't know. It just feels like this. So a lot of what actually cost him the tournament last week, I can't remember if it was you and I who spoke about it or if it was Jeff and I who were speaking about it, but it was more fun when Scottie couldn't putt, and that would actually cost him winning tournaments. If he just made putts inside 5 feet on Sunday, he wins Pebble Beach. He missed them all.
We've seen that in the past, but then he also made like another 160 feet of putts on Sunday.
Sure, but even to think back, like when he was first starting to get rolling, that it was never the mid-range. It's not like 3 putts were his problem, more mid-range putting. He was actually pretty good from like 20 feet. It was always the inside 8 feet, 5 feet, those just very touch-type putts, which is really weird because you think about Scottie and how much great touch that he has around the greens, his precision. But those like little downhill benders, he just can't make them. And then for 18 straight months, he made them all. And now he's starting to shift back to not making them again. Him not making those putts is glorious for all of us.
Yeah, like church on Sunday, my friend. Hallelujah to that. Because you talk about a place to transition back to, we've gone off the rails, but to transition back to Riviera, the guys that make the most 6 to 10 footers this week on those POA greens that are soft with a lot of footprints. I mean, I know it's not as many as a full field, but they're going to be spongy and there's going to be some POA growth there, even with the cold temperatures. Yeah, it's the guys that make the 6 to 10 footers, a la like a Matt Fitzpatrick, have a very good chance in order to be near the top of that leaderboard and contend with him come Sunday.
What is it about Riviera that Tiger never won there, Rory's never won here, Scottie's never won here? What is it about this course?
It's just a really good test of golf. And you talk about the places that everyone loves to do comp courses of, Torrey, Quail, Augusta National. I mean, those guys, they win at those places all the time. The fact that they haven't won there, you almost wonder if it's psychological. Tiger's been playing there since he was 16 years old, and he didn't win one time there, and he barely even contended. Maybe it was for Tiger, maybe it was he put a lot of pressure on himself because it was his hometown. But those other guys, they haven't, Rory's had a bunch of experience there. Scottie's not had a ton of experience, but Um, it's a tough, you have to be very well rounded in order to win that test of golf. It is a really, really good test of golf. You have to drive the ball well. You have to be a very, very good iron player that week. You have to be able to get up and down from some really squirrely lies, tough bunkers, and then there's big greens. So you don't just have to manage hitting, 15 footers for birdie. You have to manage hitting those 6 footers in order to save par because the ball might roll out. And that might not be as bad this week because of the soft conditions, but it tests every aspect of your game. And they've only made it harder by adding length to what is the par 3.5 fourth hole, which is now.
Okay, that's stupid. It's a stupid length. It's a stupid length.
Well, I think it's funny that they're like, oh, well, we put that in for the men's U.S. Open and the Olympics and the U.S. Open. I'm like, well, yeah, you put it in for the ladies' U.S. Open. The ladies' U.S. Open is being played there in 106 days from today. And like, they need that. Are you doing a drivable par 4? Like, what are we doing? I don't know. And then the 18th hole, I do understand guys had been hitting like scoring irons into that green when it had been firm. So they want that to be a very, very difficult test. Having been there, I mean, that is a huge, huge hillside to hit over. And if you could fly it up there, I mean, length was such an advantage on that hole, and it still is, but at least those guys are now hitting more of a mid iron into that green.
It's that green, though, that seems to be the issue. Just remember, what was it? Finau, was it Finau or Homa trying to close out the 3-footer and just bloop, down the hill? Not even close to making it. That green itself just seems very difficult.
It's funny, the golf course, everyone always thinks of Riviera and they think of that hole. But quite honestly, the golf course is pretty flat. I mean, it does kind of go downhill a little bit as you go towards the 5th, 6th hole, the 6th, the par 3 with the bunker in the center. That's the lowest point on the golf course down there. And the highest point is obviously the first tee, or, the 18th green is about halfway up to the first tee. But once you go off that first tee and you walk down that big hill, the course is kind of flat, which is not what you think of when all you ever see on TV is that 18th hole and all of that slope. It's really so well designed by George Thomas. I mean, it's a really, really good test of golf. The par 4s, like if we want to get back into Riviera, you got to be a par 4 killer at this place. And that's why guys at Torrey, guys at Augusta National, guys at Quail Hollow, and guys that are here, the par 4s, there's 11 of them, so you get an extra one. Average length, 443 yards. Yeah, really, really difficult. And the guys that gain on the par 4s are certainly the ones that we are looking towards this week in order from an outright perspective for sure. It's such a great collection of par 4s. I mean, you have one of the shortest, most polarizing holes that's talked about in golf. And then you have that section on the back where you play 12 and 13, which are really, really tough. You've got the fun hole like the 5th, 7 with the split fairway. I mean, just like so many good creative holes, 9's a brute. Just an awesome collection of par 4s. And immediately my mind just goes directly to Augusta National because I think about those par 4s there. Because if you remove the 3rd hole at Augusta and you remove the 10th hole at Riviera, that average distance of those par 4s continues to go up. And it's just such a great test of golf. And you see the best players in the world be pushed. And that's what we want. And that's really, really good, entertaining, competitive golf.
Par 4 scoring over the past 18 months at courses that are average, difficult, or very difficult. Here's your leaders. Scottie Scheffler, Rory, Harry Hall, Pearson Coody, Sam Burns, Jason Day, Ricky Fowler, Victor Hovland, Alex Noren, Akshay Bhatia, Justin Rose, Patrick Cantlay are the top 12 in that category from the past 18 months under those specific conditions. Alex Noren is really, I bet Alex Noren last week. It didn't work out great. Very bad final round from him as well. Just kept getting off to bad starts, but his long iron play is excellent. His putting is normally excellent. He's very accurate. He is one of the shorter type players that I wouldn't mind backing at this venue solely because his long iron play is so good. And then all of a sudden he just pops up at hard courses on par 4s as well. Does he have any interest to you?
He would if he had played better last week. So I listened to that list. You asked me about the list before. Did anything surprise me or whatever? Nothing about that list surprises me. There are 2 players there. I know you listed off like 10 names or whatever it was, but there are only 2 players there. There are guys that are great long iron players, or there are great magicians, right? Like a Noren, like a Harry Hall, like a Sam Burns, right? Guys that could just make a ton of putts and save themselves and move on from a tough hole. Like, and then there are guys that can play brutally hard par fours and have proven over their career that they're very good at it, like a Pat Cantlay, obviously like a Scottie Scheffler, et cetera, et cetera. But Victor Hovland is in there, like the par fours here are just so, I mean, like the threes are great. The fives are what they are. The first hole is like a 4.5.
They're easy.
The 11th hole isn't a great par five. The 17th hole is brutal because it's uphill, but like the fours there are so good, Pat.
So this is what we're looking for here. So these are the name. It's funny when you take a look at the birdie or better percentage versus the actual par four scoring. Like most guys are pretty similar, but for example, Sam Burns, 5th in par four birdies or better underneath these filters, 30th in par four scoring. Justin Rose, 11th in par four birdies or better, 60th in par four scoring. Akshay, 9th, 30th. Most guys are 7th and 6th or 7th and 11th, that kind of thing. These guys are just wild. Cam Young is another one. 15th in par four birdies or better, 43rd in par four scoring average. I find that really interesting that, and a lot of them are, I mean, some of them are the ball striking type guys, but the other ones, the magicians, as you talk about, you can see where the bad tee to green impacts them on the overall scoring versus just birdies.
Yes. Yeah. And those are not good guys for a well-rounded test like this, for sure. I mean, I'm stating the obvious. I get it. Yes, I know, Keith.
McNeely rates out well too. Your boy.
Yeah, disappointing last week in the final round. I mean, he and my boy Jake took an afternoon nap. I mean, if he doesn't chip in on the last hole, he's like one of the only guys in the top 30 that shoots over par. We had him in second place as an outright. That was fun to watch. It's like 1,000 paper cuts being given to me at once.
Don't worry. You can bet Jake Knapp 8-1 next week.
Yeah. 8-1. Yeah, you're right. Captain 59 down there at the Cognizant. Oh, well, yeah, Brooks will be right there with him at 9.5-1.
Now,
sure.
If we had to guess what Brooks's odds are next week, I bet you he's like 25-30-1.
I was my head initially was going to go to like 25, 27, something like that. Just something to bother everyone enough, but then they would still, after they complain about it, they would still bet it because they would be like, oh, well,
don't want to miss it.
It's Brooks. Yeah, you can't miss out on a Brooks win, and those are his people down there. That's where Idoni lives. That is like Brooks Central. Could you imagine that guy showing up at like, a Publix or something like that, getting a pub sub one day just because he was hungry, and like the amount of people that would be around him that would be like just, it would be like seeing the Pope at the Vatican. It'd be great.
Let's run through some one and done suggestions before I get you out of here. So things have been going pretty good the past 2 weeks, Keith. I'm not going to lie to you. My best team in the race for the Mayo Cup at fantasygolfchampionships.com. You can also just make all your picks through the Fanball app, completely free to download as well if you're in the contest. 79th place went Goddard at Fleetwood the past 2 weeks, and I used Fleetwood in the $1,000 one and done in the 4th place finish in a signature event. It's not going to hurt, put it that way. I got myself up into the money in both of those. What are we doing this week? Because I can't use Fleetwood in that as we go through it right now. Although when you describe the type of players that do well here, although he hasn't necessarily, just your overall game being good everywhere, no one sticks outside of Scottie, probably. Fleetwood is the epitome of that. He's just really good at everything. He's not the best at anything, but just well above average at every part of golf.
So last week I went Fitzpatrick, which was okay. I mean,
it's fine.
You'd like to get a top 10 in a signature event because the amount of money you get is just so much higher than it is when you finish T14. I think he was. I spent a lot of time over the week thinking about you and Fleetwood and your rationale for Fleetwood and my rationale against it. So I was thinking about doing two different things this week when it comes to Riviera. The easy pick, the popular pick, the guy that I don't really want to hold.
Cantlay?
For later is because I know he cares here. And he's also showing the form that would allow him to make up for, when basically he got sick on Sunday, the famous Jay Monahan flu that happened that week that got Tiger, Spieth, and Cantlay, right? Cost Cantlay the tournament and Hideki ends up winning. But back in 2024, but if I go that route, if I go the popular route, I'd go Cantlay. But I think, based upon your reasoning last week, I'm also thinking about who would be the guy that I would take that could do really, really well here, Definitely is his type of golf course. He's played very well here before. With the soft conditions, I like him even better because he's longer and he's at the top of the board.
We're mind melding on this. I think is it Xander?
100%.
There we go.
100%.
I don't think he's going to be popular either.
Oh, I don't think he'll be popular at all. I mean, he might be after 50,000 people listen to this, but like at the end of the day, like everyone's going to go after, if they haven't used Tommy already, they're going there. They're going to use Cantlay. They're going to use, if they want to go a little bit further down, you could see them going after somebody like Fitzpatrick, like I did last week. I think he's going to be very much overlooked like Fleetwood was last week. And I think that that's a super savvy play because this is a U.S. Open style golf course. And that's when Xander's rolling. Now, Xander's iron play wasn't great last week, but it was good the weeks before that. His driver was really good last week. His putter's been good. If he could have some semblance of short game, he's going to play very, very well here. And, I think there's a lot to be said for if you want to be the type of one and done player early in the season that wants to go a little bit more risk reward. I think that there's a huge upside there going against other people and picking up what could be just a huge payday when no one else grabs it.
Yeah, I was between Rory and Xander as my two picks this week of trying to. I think Rory will be more popular, but I don't think this is going to be the most popular spot to play Rory. It might not even be the best spot to play Rory. If he doesn't win, then you feel like you're kind of wasting him. But if you get a top 5, it's probably all good anyway. Coming off a week where he just crushed on approach and had 5 bad holes at a 72, which realistically cost him the tournament. If he just pars those holes, he's absolutely fine and in first place. And this seemingly is the last of. We talked about all the comp courses where Rory has won at every other comp you can make to this course except for this one. So maybe he just ends up like Tiger and never ends up getting his win here. Xander is just very intriguing because now is obviously not the time to play him. You want to watch him for a little bit, wait till he gets going in gear, and then boom, spike. But you don't want to have Xander the week that 42% of the field have him. You want the week that 3% of the field have him, and that is this week. And as you mentioned, he's been great here in his career.
He's been great here, and he's a great. They may be past their prime, but when you talk about well-rounded players, it was the two of them that are paired up in the Ryder Cup all the time in the President's Cup. It was Xander and Cantlay. They had the most well-rounded games. Rory was the driver, and DJ was this or whatever. But like when Xander and Cantlay a couple of years ago were like both top 5 in the world, they were the most well-rounded players, and that is what the test is this week. How many years in a row did Xander just kill it at Augusta? I understand he didn't win, but he plays that style of golf course very, very well. He plays a Torrey Pines very, very well. Quail Hollow, he lost to Rory a couple of years ago when Rory went nuclear, right? We all know the story there, and he's had really good results here. If you want to go against the grain, the problem is that his betting number should be way higher, and the reason that it isn't is because they know he's going to be good this week. And if you gave me Xander versus Hideki this week, I'm taking Xander.
Let me effort that on CoolBet to see if that is a market that they're offering. CoolBet's also doing a really cool thing. If they don't have the matchup that you want or the bet that you want up on their site, you email them in, they will make you a market for that.
Yeah, especially with the wet conditions. I love Xander's length, and then he seems like he's figuring it out. And that's great. That's great for golf. We need more guys that when they have their superpowers going, they can contend and beat Scottie more often. That's what's going to make it fun. The last 2 weeks have been a lot of fun to see Scottie charge up that leaderboard and watch all these other guys either perform or fade or a combination of the two. To me, that's the one thing that'll remind me of watching Tiger back in the day live play all those tournaments. And when it takes you back to those days, then you know that golf's in a really good place right now.
So Schauffele is not up against Hideki. Here, this is very interesting. And again, coolbet.com. If you're in Canada, outside of Ontario, play at coolbet.com. Hit the description. Get yourself a bonus right now. Fastest payouts in the biz. Schauffele's matched up with Fleetwood, and Schauffele's the overwhelming favorite in this head-to-head. It's -118 to -105.
How about that?
But Fleetwood, better odds to win this tournament. I think that's that's very intriguing. Like when you start playing certain markets off of other markets and comparing them, that's really interesting to me.
it's incredible, especially like a lot of people like to compare DFS and everything, but that's a different style of contest, right? And it's different scoring. When you just start talking about those different markets here on the betting side, I look at that stuff all the time. And down here in the States, basically, give or take a couple of points, Fleetwood, Hideki, and Xander are a choice in that low 20s. Like they are the three of them are grouped together. After Rory, obviously Scottie's at the top, but then you've got Rory, then you've got those three guys, then you get into the Cantley zone after that. And it's interesting to me. Of those three up there, you're going to get a lot of attention. And the one guy who's definitely not getting any his attention is X marks the spot.
I'm kind of considering cashing out my Rory bet now and just betting on Xander. With that top three each way, I can get Xander at 30-1.
Oh. I mean, Rory. I'm betting Rory because Rory's doing the things he needs to do in order to win on a soft, long golf course like that. And he seems like he's motivated to, like I said in the beginning, to check off the boxes he hasn't yet in his career. If this was just like another win at Quail Hollow, I get it. But if for this, I think he's geared up for it. And he would love to have it. I think he realized last year how cool it was to win at Pebble Beach, and I think he wants to win at Riviera. I think he wants his PGA Tour ringer card for all the greatest venues to have a victory, and that'd be a pretty cool thing to do. Tiger doesn't have one here. You can hold that over his head. There's not much you can. So that would be a pretty good one.
There's one head-to-head I do want to run by you because I need to come up with. I'm trying to find good ones to bet, and then I need to write one up for Golf Digest as well because we're writing that column together up there. But in the head-to-head market, Alex Noren -103 over JT Poston -119. I like Noren way more than Poston at this course.
Agreed.
The other one, Mav McNeely -103 versus Ben Griffin -118. I much prefer McNeely to Griffin here.
Ooh.
Griffin's not been good. Let's not forget that. He's never been good here, for one thing. His one start did not play well, and he hasn't finished inside the top 20 since the Sony Open when he was T19. He's off to a bad start to the year. His driving is gone. He hasn't gained off the tee since the Sony, and that was the big improvement that he made last year to be a real player, that he was good off the tee. Now he sucks off the tee.
I have no interest in it. Because Griffin's not bad. That's the thing. And he's two comparable players, and everything you're going on there is that McNeely's playing better right now than Ben Griffin.
Well, if we're going to boil this all down to, yes, this is a second shot course. Great approach players are going to do really well here. But if we boil it back to that, what is more predictive than anything else? It's going to be driving. McNeely's driving has just been so much better than Ben Griffin's driving.
That's true.
And if you put them in a putting contest, I'd take Matt McNeely.
100%, especially at the Pro Tour. Yeah, that one still hurts. You've talked yourself into it. What do you need me for? Come on.
I'm trying to run some of these by you for the viewers out here too. I know you got to go, but I want to run a few more of these.
No, I don't have to run anywhere, but I don't have to bet everything that's on the board.
I know, but I'm seeing ones that I like, and I want to bring them up to you to see if you're on board with them as well. Is there any player that you would be actively fading? Michael Kim over Kevin Yu -112. I'm in on that because Kevin Yu is broken. He's a broken player right now.
Yeah.
He can't drive. And that's the one thing he does well.
Exactly. And I was going to say, he already can't putt. So this is not a good place that you want. You have to have some semblance of at least being able to two-putt at this place, much like Augusta National. You don't have to be the greatest putter in the world, but it'd be nice to know you can make anything inside 8 feet and that you're not going to three-putt twice around.
Who would you at the top of the board? Who would you be, I don't want to say actively fading, picking on, but you just have no interest in?
I don't have. I know a lot of people have interest in Cam Young. I don't have any interest in Cam Young. Last couple events on POA, he hasn't gained with the putter, and his approach game just hasn't been to the level with it was when he was playing very, very well here. And you just have to be so well rounded. Just look I feel better about Sepp Straka and look where he is on the board than I do about Cam Young, just because everything has to be firing. I feel better about Mav McNeely than you can't be missing with you. Guys are good iron players, and they're on average, they're not hitting as many greens in regulation at this place. It's a difficult golf course. And even with soft conditions, that number is still not, for the average for the field, is still, with an elite field, is not going to go over 60% of greens in regulation for the week. There's a lot to be said for that. So as somebody like that, that's, a lot of people are all over Harris English, and with good reason.
I like Harris English here, but he fits that mold of who someone. I mean, we talked about Tommy as like really above average in all four facets. Harris English's driving has been awesome so far this season, out of nowhere.
Awesome,
big improvement. But he's just one of those guys that's kind of good at everything.
He's kind of good at everything, but he's been not strong with his short game lately, and you're going to need it this week. So his driver's been excellent. His iron game has been above average, and his putting has been above average, but he's going to need a short game at some point. And people can say, hey, Keith, Xander's short game hasn't been great either. But yeah, Harris English is not Xander Schauffele when they both get going. So if I need either one of those two guys to fix their short game in advance of a place where Xander's had a ton of good history, like, I'm going to go in that direction, right? Now, people may say, well, like, that wasn't the question that Pat asked, Keith. Like, you're talking about people that have been popular all over the internet, and I just have pause when it comes to those names versus some of the other names where I would like to see, I'm heading in that direction instead, because they're putting together a more well-rounded resume going into the toughest tests of the West Coast swing, and then we're out of there.
So the three head-to-heads I'm playing: Noren over Poston, Mav over Griffin, Michael Kim over Kevin Yu. If you want to get frisky and put all three of those together, plus 635.
Oh, I got a parlay for you this week.
What is it? Please tell me.
Oh, come on. Right? All right. So my ladies are back. Believe it or not, somebody went to the dartboard, Pat. Okay. And they, the commissioner of the LPGA, he threw a dart and he said, hey, we're going to play this week. It's been 3 weeks. We started. We didn't really finish that tournament, but we're back. They're in Thailand. Doesn't matter. Home country. Well, it kind of does matter for my point. Home country of Gino Titicul, who is the undisputed number one player in the world. Nellie's not even there. Short field. She gets all 4 rounds. She's in her home country. She's plus 350 as the favorite. And you've got Scottie. You put the two of them together, that's the most money you're going to make on either of those two people. And the chances are very good that you're going to get if they're both right around plus 350, that's like 18 to 1.
So who is this person?
The number one woman in the world is Gino, Jeeno.
Oh,
Titicul. J.
Okay,
yes. Sorry.
Okay. So I was thinking G. I was like, I don't see any G's up here. I don't know what you're talking about.
No, she's not from New Jersey. It's not Gino. It's Gino with a J, right?
Has the tournament already started? Because now I'm looking at end of round leader. That's all I can find.
No, they're in Thailand. It'll start Wednesday night. It'll start tonight.
Ah, okay. Perfect. Yes.
It'll start tonight. And she's not only the favorite, but it's her home country, and she's never won there. If you look at her record there, over like the last 5 years, she has like 4 top 7s with 2 runner-ups. It's insane. She just hasn't won there. And she's so far superior to the people in that field. If she plays to her floor, she's like Scottie. She will win. And then you just need Scottie to win. And then now all of a sudden you put those two together. I mean, that's what I'm doing, because that's the only way you're going to make any money on these. You'll get close to 18 to 1 on 2 plus 350s, if my math's right. I think something like that.
The other way that you could go here is just bet her at plus 375 and just go on your way.
Well, yeah, you could consider it a prop. It's just a winner. Yeah.
But
based on the size of the prize.
But let me ask you this: how, like, she is? I mean, she's 10 to 1 to be first round leader, if that's an angle you wanted to play.
With no cut and 4 guaranteed rounds.
The longer you go, the better it is. But I guess here's my question: she's plus 375. How much more likely in your mind is she to win this week than Scheffler is to win the Genesis?
Oh boy,
like significantly more?
She's way more likely to put a percentage on it. Holy moly. I mean, she's way more likely to win in her home country.
I mean, I don't get concerned about things like home country and things like that, but if it's a limited field, like, and you say all the best, if Nellie's not there, clearly all the best players.
Oh no, this isn't like a signature event, Pat. Right? This is
like Scottie at the CJ Cup, but against far fewer players.
And guaranteed 4 rounds on an easy golf course where the average winning score is going to be like 22 under par, and She drives it better than anybody. She approaches it better than anybody. And she putts it better than anybody. She's a par 4 killer. Like she has all, like she's probably, if so, Scottie at 3-1 is what, 25% win percentage?
Yeah.
I mean, she should really be like probably plus 200 to win.
All right.
She's
Well,
plus 350, plus 375. She's probably 1.5 times more likely to win than Scottie is.
And you're still getting plus 375. So you're already getting better odds on her when you're saying that they probably should be shorter than Scottie Scheffler's odds. You know what? $250 pays almost 1,200. Let's do it. Boom.
I mean, yeah.
Game on.
And throw $50 on a parlay with the two of them. Then when Scottie wins, you know what I mean? You at least get something for it.
I don't want to root for that.
Well,
I'll parlay her with like Michael Kim top 20.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Then we can start getting into the fun mark. Jason Day top 10 or something.
Oh, I mean, yeah, I was going to say Jake Knapp for another top 10. Go there, right?
Do you think that Knapp continues this play for this week? Like, if you had any interest in betting Knapp at PGA National, you would kind of hope he had like kind of a crappy week this week, I would think.
Definitely. I think Jake Knapp has a legitimate chance to be a captain selection for the President's Cup team. I think he's that talented. When I saw him last couple of years out on tour, just the way he strikes the golf ball and kind of the way he kind of goes about his business and everything, very professional. You don't see like, yes, the timing in his golf swing can get a little bit off. But really, I mean, I think Jake Knapp is, I'm not gonna say he's a star, but I think he is of like that Straka echelon and above. You know, is he going to be a major winner? Probably not. Is he going to be a multiple winner on the PGA Tour? Like probably in his career, get to like 3 to 5 wins. I could definitely see that happening for sure.
Gino plus Jason Day top 20 is almost 11-1. It's not bad.
Yeah. People like Jason Day there though at what's it like? What's Jacob Bridgman top 20 at Riviera and Gino?
13-1. It's not that much. It's not that much deeper.
Oh, it's not. Oh, really? Interesting.
Yeah, Day's down the board, man.
I know, but yeah, I guess he is. I thought Bridgman was much further down.
No, people like Bridgman. I do not like him this week. That's
how about Hisatsune?
That's
top
cuss,
20.
That's cuss one and done pick.
Oh, then don't touch that.
Yeah, that's a tough seed.
Get me away from that.
When does the will the newsletter be in my inbox from readtheline.com the moment that I wake up on Wednesday?
No, 9 a.m. 9 a.m.'s release time, 9:30 for the ladies in Thailand, but I still have questions for you.
Oh yeah, let's rapid fire me. Hit me.
All right. What name player is going to miss the cut this week?
Patrick Cantlay.
Oh my God.
Wouldn't it be great?
Killing me. He and all his fans. All right. One kids movie that you would never want to watch again.
Oh, hell. I've watched some really terrible ones over the past 5 years. I don't know.
There's got to be one that's, you have young kids, man. There's got to be one that stands out in your head. You've watched it.
But we keep watching
times.
we keep watching the ones. I mean, anything to do with the Wiggles, although I'm expected to have a kid within 3 weeks right now. So the Wiggles are going to be like back in my life once I thought that I got them out. Like the Wiggles movie is going to be, oh no, Keith, you're giving me PTSD here.
I'm triggering you. All right, next question. Do you like the 10th hole at Riviera? Yes or no?
Love it. It's my favorite short par 4 in the world.
Name one thing on your bucket list.
Golfing at Pebble Beach.
Oh, I like that. Tommy or Xander this week?
Xander.
Would you ever skydive?
No.
Describe Colin Morikawa in one word.
One of my 5 favorite golfers.
Ooh, I like that.
I would just put like on that list. And hey, you remember that draft we did before the year? All you suckers letting Morikawa fall to the second round have Patton first.
Fair enough. All right, we're in Hollywood this week. Should they make a movie about Pat Mayo's life? Absolutely. Who would play you?
Who would play me? Probably Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt. All right. There you go, folks. This week's Rapid Fire. Pat, take us away.
Readtheline.com for more. Keith, you can subscribe to his newsletter if you want my final picks, breakdown, DraftKings ownership. Hit the description. The Mayo Media newsletter is free to join. It is down there. It'll be sent directly to your inbox on Wednesday afternoon. Plus, I'm live 8 p.m. Eastern Time on Mayo Media Network, taking your questions for the Genesis Invitational. Hope to see you there. Don't bring bad questions or stupid questions. Don't want any of those, just the good questions. And I got time for anyone with a good question, so you be there, all right? Bring your good questions. We'll see you next time.
Mayo Experience! Experience!